Steel Vengeance is an RMC hyper hybrid coaster located at the legendary Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. Many people praise this coaster, saying it is one of the best or the best coaster they have ever ridden. But do I think it is? Well, yes. But in this video, I will give a breakdown of Steel Vengeance and tell you what makes it so good and what could make it better. Before we get into the video, I would highly appreciate it if you click the subscribe button down below. It is completely free and you can change your mind at any point in the video. Now let's waste no further time and hop into the video. I think this coaster is a hassle to get a ride on. Not only is it in the back of the park, but you have to 1. Put your bags in a locker. 2. Wait in a ridiculously long queue line. 3. Go through metal detectors, which slows down the line even more. 4. Put your small items in a locker. And 5. Have an enthusiast temper tantrum when you get assigned to row 7. So to be honest, I would rather walk on Magnum than have all those things happen when I at least try to ride Steel Vengeance. I don't even want to go over the theme of this ride, as I will end up talking for 10 minutes about this Frontier Town theory. So let's speak about the ride itself. I think the restraints on this ride are fine, but the shin guards can really get you if you're stapled. This is the same with all RMC coasters, and I'm fairly used to it, since I go on quite a bit of RMCs. After rolling out of the station, you take a turn which gives you a decent view of Lake Erie before going over some forceless bunny hills into the lift hill, which will kill your ears. Like seriously, you cannot hear a thing when you're on this lift. You can't even talk to the person next to you. After cresting the lift at over 200 feet in the air, you drop down at a 90-degree angle. To be honest, I expected a bit more from this drop, but it was long and sustained, which is something I really like on drops. After that, you go into a bunny hill, which doesn't do much, and then into a top hat. I was pleasantly surprised by how fun this element was. I was laughing with my hands up the entire element. However, the legendary Outer Bank that follows is highly overrated. The airtime is a lot weaker than people make it out to be, and maybe it's because I hyped up the moment so much, but I think it is one of, if not the most overrated coaster element of all time. The step up into the 0G roll is great, and the roll itself is pretty snappy. The wave terms after the roll give a short break before the ride dives right back into action. The stall is odd, but I get good whip and okay hang time on it. The shocker of the ride for me came when we went through the step up before the mid-course. You get launched on this hill, and it is world-class airtime. Kind of reminds me of the step up into the quad down on Lightning Rod, but I think it is more powerful. On most of my rides, the mid-course hit little to none at all, so we flew through the second half, especially at night. Speaking of night rides, the night rides on this coaster are incredible. I love diving through the structure of the ride at night, and you get an amplified sense of speed in the front. Make sure you watch out for those bugs though in the front. Anyways, exiting the mid-course, you have a great drop, followed by a decent double up, before going into the one moment I legitimately ducked on this ride every time I rode it. The drop diving into the structure is so good, and it gives a crazy visual that you're going to fly into the supports, along with the airtime you get. After going through an overbank and a roll, you go through some bunny hills that gives decent to solid airtime. You enter the structure again when you take a few wave turns, airtime hills, and a roll before popping out and going into a few small airtime hills before you hit the brakes. Even though this is my number one coaster, I do not find it to have much variety. And if it did, I would put it at a solid number one spot, but there are coasters I think could overtake it in the future. I think this coaster could be overtaken by Iron Gwazi or Velocicoaster, or even Lightning Rod if I get a better ride on it this year. Anyways, that is it for this review of Steel Vengeance. If you enjoyed it, then subscribing would really help me out, as I am trying to hit 500 within the coming months. This is 0G Coaster signing out. Goodbye, guys.